Hey friends, tonight we're stepping into a colder kind of darkness. Not the chaos of battlefields or the roar of armies, but the quiet, careful footsteps of a man who kills without being seen. No pistols, no contract signed in blood, just a hood, a blade, and the knowledge that if he fails, no one will come looking. We're not talking about fantasy assassins in leather armor leaping from rooftops. This is the real Middle Ages, where poison was slow, daggers were crude, and every step had to be calculated. You might think you're cunning enough to live his life, but trust me, most who tried didn't last long. They vanished between alleys or ended up stretched on a rack, screaming secrets they never meant to tell. If you enjoy exploring the darker edges of forgotten lives, a like or a subscribe would mean the world. And hey, where are you listening from? I love seeing your cities and time zones pop up in the comments. So go ahead, dim the lights, maybe light a candle, and let your breath slow down with the flicker of the flame. Because tonight, we follow a man who walks in silence and kills in it too. Let's begin. Let's step back in time to a world where the night sky glimmers over stone castles and crooked streets. This is the Middle Ages, around the 13th century, when Europe's caught in a storm of wars and schemes. Picture Florence, its cobblestone alleys packed with merchants shouting about spices and silk, the air thick with dust and ambition. In Venice, canals snake through the city, their waters catching the moon's pale light as grand houses hide whispered plots. Far off in Constantinople, golden domes stand proud, a city where empires meet and secrets fester. It's a restless age, with kings falling, lords grabbing for power, and the church casting a long shadow over it all. In this tangle of betrayal and desire, there's a figure who moves like a ghost, the assassin, born from the cracks of a world that needs them but never claims them. Imagine a time when trust is as rare as a clear sky. Kingdoms clash, their borders soaked in blood, and lords eye each other like wolves. The church, with its towering spires, holds sway over souls and thrones, but even its halls hum with intrigue. In this chaos, assassins aren't villains, they're solutions. Think of a lord in a chilly castle, bent over a map by candlelight, his fingers tracing lands he wants to seize. His rival, a duke across the hills, is growing too bold, his armies too close. War's messy, diplomacy's weak, so he chooses a quieter way. A hooded figure slips into the room, takes a pouch of gold, and nods. No words, just a deal. One life to shift the balance, no trace left behind. That's the assassin's craft, a silent fix for a noisy world. Assassins were the hidden hands of power, called on when words failed and swords were too loud. In Venice, a merchant might hire one to slip poison into a rival's wine, saving his trade from collapse. A bishop, troubled by a preacher stirring up trouble, might pass a name to a shadowy go-between, knowing a blade would follow. Out in Persia, the Hashashin, followers of a fierce secret faith, carved their name into history, striking down crusader knights or rival leaders with daggers they believed were holy. These shadows served kings, nobles, even the church, but they lived apart, needed yet never trusted, their work a secret even to those who paid for it. Now picture a village square, bustling with life. Farmers hawk their wares, kids chase each other through the crowd, and the smell of fresh bread mixes with livestock. But even here, assassins leave a mark, not in blood, but in stories. Villagers whisper about a stranger seen near the manor, eyes too sharp, steps too soft. A tavern keeper swears a cloaked figure bought ale with strange coins, gone by dawn. To these folks, assassins are half myth, like spirits or demons. Their deeds spun into tales told by flickering fires. The truth is simpler. These shadows walk among them, their faces plain, their presence unnoticed, blending in like stones in a riverbed. Some assassins clawed their way up from the slums, their skills honed by hunger and hard streets. Others were shaped with care, trained like hawks for the hunt. In Italy, a noble's son might learn the dagger's art alongside poetry, his lessons preparing him for a world where power demands blood. In Persia, the Hashashin recruits were raised in hidden forts, their loyalty forged in faith and discipline. Whether born in filth or bred in courts, these figures shared one fate. Their trade gave them gold, maybe meaning, but it bound them to the shadows, forever outsiders in the world they shaped. As the night settles in, imagine those ancient streets growing still, the moon hanging low over a quiet city. The assassin's life is a dance of secrets, a world where need and scorn collide. Let those shadowed alleys pull you deeper now toward a closer look at their craft, a tale of silent blades and hidden paths waiting just beyond the moonlight. From those quiet streets where shadows linger, slip now into a narrower world, a world of careful steps and fleeting glances. The medieval city sleeps, its houses dark, but in the alleys a different kind of work begins. This is the assassin's craft, a trade of precision and peril, where a single act can topple a lord or silence a rival. It's not just about the kill, it's about the planning, the waiting, the vanishing. Every move is a gamble, every choice a thread in a delicate web. In the Middle Ages, assassins didn't just end lives, they shaped fates, their blades carving paths through the chaos of power. Think of the reasons behind their work. Some jobs were grand, aimed at shifting kingdoms. A duke grows too ambitious, his armies threatening a king's throne. So a shadow is sent to still his heart. Other tasks were personal, born of grudges. A noble, cheated in a marriage pact, might hire a hand to settle the score with a rival's life. Then there were matters of faith, heretics preaching dangerous ideas, or priests whose influence crossed a bishop's line, marked for a quiet end. In cities like Florence, trade fueled darker deeds. A merchant's wealth could buy a rival's death, a drop of poison securing a market's control. Each task, big or small, demanded the same cold focus, the same invisible touch. The tools of this trade were simple but deadly. A dagger, slim and sharp, could be hidden in a sleeve, its blade slipping between ribs before anyone noticed. Poison was subtler, belladonna or arsenic, mixed into wine or bread, leaving no mark but a lifeless body. Some assassins favored a crossbow, small enough to conceal, its bolt striking from a rooftop's edge. Others used cunning over steel, dressing as monks or servants to walk past guards, their faces forgettable, their intent unseen. A forest path might hide an ambush, the rustle of leaves masking a step. A crowded market could be just as deadly, the bustle swallowing a quick thrust and a swift escape. Picture how it all comes together. Days, maybe weeks of watching, learning when a target walks alone, where they dine, who they trust. A tavern's corner offers a view of a lord's nightly visits, his laughter loud, his guards lax. Or a castle's routine unfolds. Servants leave a gate unlocked at dusk, a chance to slip inside. The plan takes shape. Strike at a feast, where wine flows and eyes wander. Or wait in the target's chamber, shadows cloaking the blade. The moment arrives, heart steady, hand sure. Then the hardest part, getting out. A cloak swapped for a beggar's rags, a dive into the market's chaos, or a climb over a wall. Every step measured to outrun pursuit. But this work is never safe. A misstep means capture, and capture means pain. Torture on the rack, a public execution to warn others. Guards might spot a glint of steel. A servant might scream. Even success brings danger. A victim's family could send hunters, mercenaries tracking the killer through villages and forests. Worse, the one who hired the deed might turn traitor, silencing their own shadow to bury the truth. Every job carries this weight, a balance between gold and survival, where trust is a luxury no assassin can afford. Take a moment in a bustling market, where stalls overflow with cloth and spice. A figure weaves through the crowd, dressed as a trader, eyes scanning for a noble in fine robes. The noble pauses, haggling over a bolt of silk, unaware of the hand slipping toward a hidden vial. A drop in his cup, a quick turn into the throng, and the job's done. Clean, quiet, gone. But as the figure melts away, a guard's gaze lingers too long, a heartbeat of doubt. This is the assassin's life. Moments of perfect control, shadowed by the ever-present chance of ruin. Now, as the city's lanterns flicker, casting pools of light on worn stones, the assassin's work feels both distant and close, a craft of skill and sacrifice. Those alleys hold more secrets, not just of blades, but of the training that sharpens them. Step closer to that hidden world, where every move is learned, every instant honed, waiting just beyond the lamplight. The city's lanterns fade behind us, their glow swallowed by the deeper dark of a forest's edge. Here, under the cover of ancient oaks, a different kind of lesson unfolds. The assassin's work, so precise in its deadly aim, doesn't spring from chance. It's built on years of honing, of turning body and mind into tools as sharp as any blade. In the Middle Ages, those who walked the shadowed path were crafted, not born. Their skills a blend of patience, cunning, and relentless practice. This is the forge where assassins are made, a hidden world of sweat, silence, and secrets. How does it take to vanish in plain sight? It starts with the body. Quick hands that can wield a dagger, its edge flashing in a heartbeat to find a mark. A short sword, light and balanced, might dance in close quarters, or a small crossbow tucked under a cloak could send a bolt whispering through the night. But fighting is only part of it. An assassin learns to move like a ghost, feet finding silent paths over creaking floors or crumbling walls. Scaling a castle's stone face, fingers gripping mossy ledges becomes second nature. In a city, they glide through crowds, steps soft, eyes sharp, unnoticed as a breeze. Then there's the art of disguise. A cloak becomes a monk's robe, a trader's tunic, or a beggar's rags, each role played with ease. A face must shift too, not with masks, but with posture, a tilt of the head, a borrowed accent. Poison is another skill, delicate and deadly. Knowing which herbs turn a goblet of wine into a grave takes study. Belladonna's bitter sting, arsenic's subtle bite. Mixing them, hiding the taste, timing the dose, all demand a steady hand and a sharp mind. Beyond tools and tricks, an assassin reads people. A guard's lazy glance, a lord's nervous tick, the web of power tying a court together. These are the keys to a job done right. How are these skills learned? For some, it begins young, in places like the Hashashin's mountain strongholds. Boys are raised there, far from the world, their days filled with grueling drills, sparring with blades, stalking through rocky passes, memorizing verses that bind their loyalty to a sacred cause. Every lesson, from combat to creed, shapes them into weapons of faith. Others find a different path. A mercenary, scarred from battlefields, might turn to quieter work, their instincts honed by years of survival. In Italy, a noble's son could study assassination alongside strategy, his tutors teaching him to wield a dagger as deftly as a quill, preparing him for a family's ruthless games. The tools they carry are simple but vital. A lockpick, thin and nimble, can tease open a gate's secrets. A coil of rope, knotted tight, aids a climb or a quick descent. A dark cloak hides a figure in the gloom, while a map, crudely drawn or stolen, charts a castle's maze of halls. Disguises are just as crucial. A hood to shadow a face, a servant's smock to pass unquestioned, or a monk's cowl to earn a guard's trust. These are the assassin's allies as much as any blade, each one a piece of the puzzle that makes their work possible. Consider a moment in a darkened courtyard where a figure crouches by a locked door. The lockpick scrapes softly, feeling for the catch, while eyes dart to the glow of a guard's torch beyond the wall. The door yields, and the figure slips inside, cloaked as a servant, a tray of wine hiding a dagger's glint. Up a spiral stair, past sleeping dogs, to a lord's chamber, every step practiced, every breath controlled. This isn't luck. It's the fruit of years spent learning, failing, trying again until the body moves before the mind even asks. As that courtyard fades, its stones cool under the night, the assassin's craft feels like a delicate art built on skills that turn shadows into weapons. But this work demands more than blades and disguises. It demands a life apart, a world of solitude and secrets. Follow those silent steps now, past the castle's walls, to a humbler place where the assassin's day-to-day unfolds, waiting just beyond the candle's glow. Beyond the castle's towering walls, where torches burn bright and guards keep watch, lies a quieter corner of the medieval world. Tucked in the city's maze of alleys or along its ragged edges, life unfolds differently, unseen, uncelebrated. For the assassin, this is home, not a place of warmth or roots, but a fleeting shelter where secrets are kept and plans are whispered. Their days and nights weave a strange rhythm, one foot in the ordinary, the other in the shadows. In the Middle Ages, an assassin's life was not just about the kill, it was about surviving, blending in, and staying one step ahead of a world that would never accept them. Where does an assassin lay their head? Not in grand halls or cozy cottages, but in places the world overlooks. A cramped room in a city slum, its walls damp and windows cracked, might serve as a hideout. A straw pallet on a dirt floor, a single candle flickering, is enough. Others drift through inns, their faces forgettable to weary keepers, a coin securing a night's rest in a shared loft. Outside the city, a lean-to in the woods or a cave's mouth might do, the stars their only roof. For those bound to groups like the Hashashin, life was different. Secret forts in Persia's mountains, like Alamut, offered stone walls and shared purpose, but even these were cloaked in silence, far from prying eyes. Their days are deceptively simple, built to avoid notice. A meal is sparse, a crust of bread, a wedge of hard cheese, a sip of thin wine, all prepared by their own hands. Poison is a real fear, so trust in a tavern stew is a risk they rarely take. By day, they might pass as anyone, a blacksmith hammering iron, sparks flying in a sooty shop, a peddler hawking trinkets in the market, voice loud but eyes keen. These roles are masks, worn to keep questions at bay. When night falls, the real work begins, slipping through alleys to watch a target, meeting a contact in a tavern's dim corner, or tracing a path to a castle's weak gate. Every hour is a balance, hiding in plain sight while planning in the dark. Connections are few, and trust is rarer still. An assassin keeps no close friends, no family to warm their hearth, for ties like these invite betrayal, or worse, endanger others. Their world is solitary, but not entirely alone. In shadowy markets or smoky taverns, they meet go-betweens, cloaked figures passing names and coins, their words brief, their faces half seen. For those in groups like the Hashashin, there's a kind of kinship, but it's bound by iron rules. Speak little, reveal nothing. A single slip could unravel everything, so silence becomes their shield, as vital as any dagger. Money comes in bursts, if it comes at all. A job for a noble might bring a purse heavy with gold, a ruby glinting in the candlelight, or even a scrap of land no one else wants. But wealth slips through their fingers fast. A bribe to a guard, a map bought from a thief, a new blade to replace a notched one. Costs pile up. Many never grow rich, their lives too fleeting, their needs too pressing. For the Hashashin, gold mattered less. Their work was for faith, for a cause they held above all else, their reward not in coin, but in purpose. Picture an evening in a rundown inn where a figure sits alone at a scarred table. A hood hides their face, a bowl of broth cools untouched as they listen to the tavern's hum, merchants boasting, a drunkard's laugh. A contact slides into the seat across, muttering a name, a place, a price. The figure nods, coins change hands, and the contact is gone. Later, under a sliver of moon, they trace a city wall, testing its stones for a climb, their breath steady, their mind already mapping the job. This is their life, moments of stillness broken by bursts of danger, always alone, always watchful. As that inn's fire burns low, its embers casting faint shadows on the wall, the assassin's world feels both small and vast, a life of edges where every choice is a risk. But beneath this quiet surface lies a deeper struggle, a battle not of blades, but of heart and mind. Step beyond this flickering light now into a place where thoughts turn inward, where the weight of their work presses close, waiting just past the fire's glow. Step away from the inn's dying embers and find yourself in a quiet corner of the medieval city where a small chapel's glow spills through stained glass. Inside, a single candle burns, its light soft on stone walls. This is where thoughts turn inward, where the assassin's mind wrestles with the life they've chosen. Their work, sharp, silent, deadly, leaves marks not just on their targets, but on their own hearts. In the Middle Ages, to be an assassin was to live with solitude, doubt, and a constant tug between right and wrong, a burden heavier than any blade. What does it feel like to walk this path? Loneliness is a steady companion. An assassin trusts no one fully, not the contact who hands them a name, not the noble who pays in gold. Every glance could hide betrayal, every whisper a trap. They move through crowds but never belong, their lives a string of fleeting faces and false names. This isolation gnaws, a quiet ache that grows with every job. Then there's the strain, a tightness in the chest that never quite fades. Every step demands vigilance, a guard's sudden turn, a servant's curious stare, the chance of a hunter waiting in the next town. Sleep comes in fits, haunted by the need to stay one move ahead. The heart wrestles, too, with questions that cut deeper than steel. Not every target is a tyrant or a traitor. Some are ordinary, their crime unclear, their death just a noble's whim. A merchant with a kind laugh, a priest who helped the poor. Taking their lives can spark a flicker of doubt. Is this right? Does it matter? Some assassins bury these thoughts, treating their work like a mason treats stone, a job, nothing more. Others can't escape the tug of conscience, their minds replaying faces, wondering if blood stains more than hands. To cope, many find reasons. Maybe the target threatened peace. Maybe the gold feeds a starving village. Maybe it's just survival in a world that offers no other path. Society casts its own judgment. To the common folk, assassins are monsters, their names cursed in tavern tales. Yet those same folk benefit when a cruel lord falls, their taxes eased by a shadow's work. The powerful know this, using assassins while scorning them, a hypocrisy that stings. The church preaches against murder, its priests thundering from pulpits, but whispers tell of bishops who turn a blind eye when a heretic is silenced. Some assassins lean into this contradiction, telling themselves they're tools of order, clearing the way for a better world. It's a fragile shield, but it holds against the dark. Faith offers another anchor. Before a job, an assassin might kneel in a chapel like this one, head bowed, lips moving in silent prayer. They ask for strength, for forgiveness, for a sign their work isn't damned. In Persia, the Hashashin saw their blades as holy, each kill a step closer to divine will, their faith a fire that burned away doubt. For others, belief is murkier, a hope that God sees their need, their hunger, and spares them judgment. These moments of quiet, of reaching for something beyond themselves, are rare glimpses of a soul beneath the shadow. Picture a figure in a deserted alley, leaning against a wall, breath fogging in the cold. The job's done. A lord lies still in his bed, a dagger's work complete. But now, in the silence, the mind churns. Was he guilty? Did he have children? The figure pushes the thoughts down, but they linger like smoke after a fire. A coin from the job weighs heavy in their pocket, enough for bread, maybe a new cloak. It's enough, they tell themselves. It has to be. As they slip away, a church bell tolls, and for a moment they pause, caught between the act and its echo, wondering if anyone, man or God, truly sees them. As that alley fades, its stones holding the night's secrets, the assassin's inner world feels raw, a place of questions without answers. But their lives touch others too, nobles who hire them, folk who fear them, allies who share their shadows. Move past this chapel's glow now, into the wider web of their world, where trust and treachery intertwine, waiting just beyond the candlelight. The chapel's quiet light falls behind, giving way to the hum of a morning market, where sunlight streams through gaps in wooden stalls. Here, in the pulse of medieval life, the assassin's world touches others, not in the solitude of their trade, but in the delicate web of trust and fear that binds them to those around them. They move among nobles, lords, common folk, mercenaries, and rogues, each relationship a careful step on a knife edge. In the Middle Ages, an assassin's allies were as fleeting as their enemies were constant, their place in society a strange dance of necessity and suspicion. Nobles, with their velvet robes and guarded smiles, hold the purse strings of power. To them, an assassin is a tool, useful, but never equal. A lord might summon one to a shadowed chamber, offering gold to silence a rival, their words clipped, their eyes cold. Once the deed is done, that same lord might turn away, fearing the assassin's knowledge, or worse, send men to erase them, tying up loose ends. Some assassins find steadier work, serving a noble family for years, their loyalty bought with coin or protection. But even then, they're kept at arm's length, their names unspoken, their presence a secret tucked behind tapestries. Trust is a luxury, neither side dares to give. Common folk toiling in fields or markets see assassins differently, through a haze of fear and myth. To a farmer or a weaver, these shadows are the stuff of fireside tales, cloaked figures who steal lives in the night. A stranger lingering too long by the village well might spark whispers, "Is he one of them?" The truth is, assassins walk among these people every day, unnoticed. Dressed as a peddler, they haggle over apples, their eyes scanning the crowd. As a laborer, they haul stone, their ears catching gossip about a lord's travels. They blend in, their survival hinging on being forgettable, but the weight of the public's dread follows them, a shadow they can't shake. Then there are those who live closer to the assassin's world, mercenaries and thieves, men and women of the sword and the sly hand. A sellsword might share a drink in a grimy tavern, trading news of a lord's guards for a few coins. A thief could point out a weak lock on a merchant's gate, their paths crossing for mutual gain. These partnerships are useful, but fragile. An assassin keeps their distance, knowing a mercenary's loyalty shifts with the highest bidder, or a thief's loose tongue could unravel a plan. They work together when it suits, but never fully turn their back, each side wary of the other's knife. Picture a moment in a crowded market where a figure in a worn cloak slips through the throng, a basket of bread under their arm. They pause by a stall, exchanging quiet words with a grizzled man selling knives, his face scarred, his voice low. He mutters about a lord's hunting trip, a path through the woods, unguarded. The figure nods, a coin pressed into his palm, and moves on. Later, in a noble's hall, that same figure, now dressed as a servant, pours wine, their eyes fixed on the lord. The scarred man's tip was good, but the figure wonders, will he sell them out next? This is their world, alliances born of need, laced with doubt. These ties, whether with lords, folk, or rogues, shape the assassin's life, but never anchor it. They're threads in a web, some strong, some brittle, all easily cut. Each step through the market or the manor carries a question. Who's a friend? Who's a foe? As the stalls begin to close, the market's bustle fades, its lanterns dim, as a path leads into the dark embrace of a forest at night. Here, where branches twist under a starless sky, the assassin's steps grow cautious, each one a brush with fate. Their work, woven through the schemes of nobles and the fears of common folk, is not just a craft, it's a gamble, where every job carries the weight of ruin. In the Middle Ages, to be an assassin was to dance with danger, a dance that could end in chains, blood, or a life forever scarred by the shadows they cast. Every task is a tightrope. A misstep, a guard's shout, a locked door that won't yield can mean capture. And capture is no gentle fate. A caught assassin faces horrors, the rack's slow stretch, the burn of hot irons, or the crush of a torture wheel, each designed to wring out names and secrets. If they survive the dungeon, a public death awaits. Hanging in a jeering square, beheading before a crowd, or flames licking at a stake. These are not mere risks, but specters that haunt every plan, every silent step through a castle's halls. Even success offers no safety. A victim's kin might swear vengeance, hiring trackers to hunt the killer through towns and wilds. Bounty hunters, with keen eyes and keener blades, prowl for the promise of gold, turning every stranger's glance into a threat. This life breeds a constant unease. Trust is a ghost, impossible to grasp. Is the tavern keeper's smile too warm? Does the merchant's question linger too long? Friends are few, and even allies, like the mercenary who shared a tip or the thief who sold a map, might sell an assassin out for a better price. This doubt seeps into every moment, a quiet poison that keeps the heart racing, the hand near the dagger. To live this way is to never rest fully, to see enemies in every shadow, even when none are there. The toll isn't just on the body, it's on the soul. Few assassins grow old. Some fall in their work, a guard's blade too quick, a trap too clever. Others are betrayed, their own employers tying up loose ends with a knife in the dark. Those who survive might flee, shedding their past to live as hermits in distant valleys, their names forgotten. But even then the past clings. The weight of lives taken presses hard, stealing sleep with memories of faces, of blood. Nightmares creep in, blurring the line between hunter and hunted. Some sink into despair, their minds frayed by years of killing, their hearts heavy with a guilt they can't name. These scars, invisible but deep, mark every assassin who walks this path. Yet for all their peril, some leave echoes. The Hashishin, with their mountain forts and holy blades, became legends, their name whispered with awe and dread. But most assassins vanish, their deeds swallowed by time, their lives a flicker in the grand tapestry of lords and wars. No statues rise for them, no songs carry their names. Their legacy, if any, is in the absence they create, a throne left empty, a rival gone, a balance shifted without a trace. Picture a figure racing through a forest, heart pounding as torchlight flickers behind them. A job went wrong, a servant screamed, guards gave chase. Branches claw at their cloak, but they push on, breath ragged, eyes darting for a stream to mask their trail. They know the stakes. Capture means torture, death, or worse, a bounty on their head that never fades. For now, they escape, slipping into the dark, but the fear lingers, a reminder that no job is ever truly done. This is their reality, a fleeting victory, shadowed by the promise of the next hunt. As the forest's gloom deepens, its silence heavy with unseen eyes, the assassin's life feels like a fragile thread stretched taut by danger. But their story lives on, not in their own words, but in the tales spun by others. Tales of shadows and myths that outlast the blade. Leave this tangled wood now, and step into a world where those stories take shape, where the assassin becomes more than a killer, waiting just beyond the torch's fleeting light. Here, assassins are creatures of the night, cloaked in black, their blades flashing under moonlight. A farmer might spin a tale of a lord found dead, no mark but a single drop of blood, the work of a shadow who vanished like smoke. In villages, these stories carry a shiver, casting assassins as near supernatural, ghosts who punish the wicked or curse the innocent. The Hashashin, far off in Persia, fed this mystique. Rumors swirled that they used hashish to fuel their zeal, slipping into trances before their holy kills. The truth was plainer. Their devotion was rooted in faith, not drugs. But the legend clung, turning them into demons in crusader tales. Art captured them differently, with a strange reverence. In a cathedral's dim corner, a painting might show a cloaked figure, dagger raised, striking down a tyrant, an image of justice, not evil. Poets wove assassins into ballads, their words painting them as tragic heroes, driven by duty or revenge. In a lord's hall, a tapestry could depict a shadow slipping past guards, a symbol of betrayal or divine retribution. These works polished the assassin's grim trade, making it grand, even noble. Yet they strayed far from reality, where blood was messy, motives murky, and survival a daily fight. Heresy and magic often tangled with these myths. In fearful times, assassins were linked to witches or sorcerers, their silence mistaken for spells. A village might blame a sudden death on a cloaked stranger, whispering of pacts with dark forces. The church, ever watchful, sometimes branded them as heretics, especially those like the Hashashin, whose faith clashed with crusader Christians. But the truth was less fantastical. Assassins were practical, driven by coin, loyalty, or cause, not by charms or curses. Their skill was honed by sweat, not sorcery, their plans drawn in taverns, not cauldrons. These legends, though, had power. They shaped fear and fascination, making assassins both dreaded and desired. A merchant might hire one half expecting a demon, only to meet a quiet figure with steady hands. A noble could curse them as villains, yet secretly rely on their blades. The gap between myth and man was vast, but the stories endured, outliving the lives they described. While assassins faded into graves or exile, their shadows lingered in every tale of a knife in the dark. Picture a moment by that hearth, where a bard strums a lute, singing of a hooded figure who felled a cruel duke. The crowd leans in, eyes wide, as he describes a leap from a tower, a vanish into mist. The tale is vivid, thrilling, but it misses the truth. The long nights of watching, the fear of a guard's glance, the weight of blood on weary hands. As the song ends, a stranger in the corner, plain, unnoticed, slips out, their cloak brushing the floor. They know the real story, but it's not theirs to tell. The legend grows while they fade back into the night. As the tavern's fire burns low, its stories settling into embers, the assassin's myth feels alive, a veil over their hidden world. But myths only hint at the tools and places that ground their work, blades, ropes, and the cities they haunt. Step past this hearth now, into the grit and steel of their trade, where legends give way to the tangible, waiting just beyond the fire's dying glow. The tavern's tales dissolve as we step into the glow of a blacksmith's forge, where sparks fly and steel hums under the hammer. This is the heart of the assassin's craft, not the myths, but the cold, hard tools that make their work possible. In the Middle Ages, an assassin's success hinged on what they carried and where they moved. from the glint of a dagger to the cover of a misty alley. Their trade was grounded in the practical, a dance of blades, ropes, and shadows, played out in cities and wilds where every corner held both opportunity and risk. An assassin's tools are simple but deadly. A dagger, slim and sharp, slips easily under a cloak, its edge honed to pierce armor or flesh with a whisper. A short sword, balanced for close quarters, might hang at their side, ready for a desperate fight. For distance, a small crossbow, compact, quiet, sends a bolt through the dark, its string taut with purpose. Poison is subtler. A vial of belladonna or arsenic tucked in a pocket can turn a goblet into a grave. Beyond weapons, they carry tricks, a coil of rope for scaling walls, a lockpick to tease open stubborn gates, or a pinch of powder that bursts into smoke, blinding pursuers. Each item is chosen with care, light enough to carry, vital enough to save a life. These tools find their stage in the world around them. Cities like Florence or Venice are perfect hunting grounds. A crowded market, thick with the smell of spices and sweat, lets an assassin vanish into the throng, their blades striking before anyone notices. Narrow alleys, cloaked in shadow, offer quick escapes or hidden vantage points. A castle's stone walls, with their forgotten passages or loose grates, become paths to a lord's chamber. Even a church, its pews quiet, can hide a figure in a monk's robe, waiting for the right moment. The city's pulse, its noise, its chaos, is the assassin's shield, masking their steps. The countryside tells a different story. A forest's dense canopy hides an ambush, its paths known only to those who tread them often. A lonely road, winding through fields, invites a swift strike on a traveling merchant, the open sky no witness to the deed. Rivers and streams offer cover, their banks a place to lose trackers or wash away blood. Night is the assassin's ally, its darkness a cloak thicker than any fabric. Fog, rolling in at dawn, turns the world soft and vague, perfect for a silent approach or a clean getaway. These places, wild or walled, are as much a part of the trade as the blade itself. Using these tools and places takes more than skill. It takes instinct. An assassin learns the feel of a lock's tumblers, the give of a rope under weight, the scent of a poison's faint bitterness. They know which alley twists back on itself, which forest path hides a ravine. Every job is a puzzle, solved with what they carry and where they stand. A dagger's thrust in a market must be quick, the crowd swallowing their retreat. A crossbow's shot from a rooftop needs steady hands, the night hiding their perch. Each choice is a thread in a delicate web, one mistake enough to unravel it all. Picture a figure in a city's dusk, standing in a shadowed corner of a marketplace. A dagger rests against their wrist, a rope coiled at their belt, a vial of arsenic cool in their palm. Across the square, a noble's litter sways, guards lax in the fading light. The figure moves, slipping past stalls, their cloak brushing a spice merchant's cart. A quick climb to a low roof, a glance at the noble's path, and the vial's contents find a cup left unattended. they're gone before the noble sips, lost in the city's maze, their tools and the twilight their only allies. As the market's last vendors pack away, their lanterns casting faint pools on cobblestones, the assassin's craft feels tangible, a world of steel and strategy. But this life sets them apart, far from the rhythms of ordinary folk. Move beyond this square now, into the deeper divide between their shadowed path and the lives of those around them, waiting just past the glow of the last stall. Casting long shadows. Here, far from the city's clamor, the assassin's life feels distant from the world most know. Their path, shaped by blades and secrets, sets them apart from the farmers, weavers, and merchants who fill medieval villages. In the Middle Ages, an assassin's existence was not just different, it was a world unto itself, defined by solitude, suppressed emotions, and purposes that burned brighter than the hearths of ordinary folk. An assassin's life is rootless, a thread cut loose from the tapestry of community. While villagers gather at wells, sharing gossip, or tend to families in cozy homes, assassins drift. They have no spouse to warm their bed, no children to carry their name. A room in a run-down inn, a pallet in a barn, or a cave's cold floor might be their shelter for a night, but never a home. They move often, leaving no trace. Today in Florence, tomorrow a hamlet miles away. Common folk build lives around stability, a field to plow, a shop to tend, a church to kneel in. For an assassin, attachment is a weakness, a door left open for betrayal or loss. Their hearts beat to a different rhythm, too, where a baker might curse a bad day's dough or laugh with friends over ale. An assassin locks their feelings tight. Fear, anger, even joy. They're pushed down, buried under the need to stay sharp. A trembling hand could miss a mark. A stray thought could mean capture. This control is their armor, but it comes at a cost. While villagers weep at a funeral or cheer at a festival, assassins stand apart, their faces blank, their minds on the next job. Risk is their constant shadow. Every task could be their last, every stranger a hunter. Ordinary folk crave safety, their days shaped by routine. Assassins embrace the edge, knowing peace is a luxury they'll never afford. What drives them is stranger still. A farmer toils for his family, a priest for his God, a merchant for his coin. Their goals are tangible, woven into the fabric of village life. An assassin's purpose is sharper, more fleeting. Some chase gold, each job a step toward a purse heavy enough to buy a new life, though that dream often slips away. Others, like the Hashashin, burn with faith, their blades serving a cause greater than themselves, each kill a prayer in steel. For many, it's the task itself, the thrill of outwitting a guard, the precision of a plan unfolding. Where common folk look to the future, building legacies in children or craft, assassins live for the moment, their eyes fixed on the next name, the next shadow. Picture a figure sitting alone in an inn's corner, a tankard untouched before them. Outside, villagers dance in the square, their laughter spilling through the night. The figure watches, cloaked in plain wool, their hands still, but their mind racing, mapping a noble's route, weighing a dagger's balance. A child runs past, tugging at a parent's hand, and for a moment the figure's gaze softens, a flicker of something lost. They push it away, turning back to their plan. Across the room, a merchant boasts of his trade, his life full of ties, family, guild, home. The figure has none of these, only the job, the road, the blade. They rise, slipping into the dark, leaving the inn's warmth behind, a stranger to the world they move through. This divide runs deep, a chasm between the assassin's shadowed path and the lives lit by village fires. As the meadow's grasses sway, silver under the moon, their solitude feels stark, a choice made with every step. But their story isn't theirs alone. It's seen through the eyes of others, those who hire them, fear them, or fall to their blades. Leave this quiet field now and step into the perspectives that surround them, waiting just beyond the moonlight's gentle reach. Hint of menace. Their fear was sharp, a constant weight, knowing wealth or power made them prey. When an assassin struck, the victim's kin carried a different burden, grief twisted into vengeance. A widow might empty her coffers to hire trackers, or another assassin to hunt the killer through towns and wilds. This cycle of blood, born of fear and loss, kept the assassin's shadow long, even after their work was done. Those who hired assassins saw them differently, as tools both vital and dangerous. A noble, plotting in a candlelit hall, might hand over gold for a rival's death, their voice steady but their heart uneasy. To them, the assassin was a means to an end, a shadow to shape their world. But trust was thin. What if the killer turned, spilling secrets to a higher bidder? What if their blade came back for the one who paid? This fear kept employers distant, their deals struck in whispers, their eyes always watching the assassin's back. The bond was cold, built on coin and necessity, never friendship. Society's view was murkier, a mix of terror and fascination. In taverns, villagers swapped tales of cloaked figures, their stories painting assassins as ghosts or avengers. A farmer might curse them as demons, yet cheer when a cruel lord fell to an unseen hand. These contradictions ran deep. Assassins were monsters, but also instruments of justice, their deeds reshaping thrones and markets from the shadows. Over time, their myth grew, romanticized in songs or feared in whispers, their role in balancing power quietly acknowledged, even as their names were scorned. The church cast its own judgment, heavy with righteousness. Priests thundered from pulpits, branding assassins as sinners, their souls damned for spilling blood. Yet in quieter corners, some clerics turned a blind eye when a heretic or rival bishop fell, seeing the assassin's work as a grim necessity for faith's cause. This hypocrisy weighed on the assassins themselves. Many knelt before altars, their prayers soft, seeking forgiveness or strength, their hearts torn between guilt and duty. Others, like the Hashashin, held their blades as holy, but to Christianize, their faith marked them as heretics, their deeds doubly cursed. Picture a moment in a city's quiet street where lives converge. A noble glances from his window, his face pale, fearing the shadow he's heard rumored. Below, a cloaked figure slips past, hired by another lord, their dagger hidden, their mind on the job. A tavern keeper, sweeping his doorstep, mutters a tale of a killer's strike, unaware the figure is near. In a nearby church, a priest lights a candle, praying for a bishop's safety, or perhaps for his end. Each sees the assassin differently: threat, tool, myth, sinner, but none know the truth of their solitary path, their burdens unseen. As the castle's lights dim, the city settling into sleep, these perspectives linger, a mosaic of fear, need, and judgment. The assassin's world, so vivid in its danger and craft, is not just theirs. It belongs to those who dread them, use them, or dream of them. Their story, told in whispers and prayers, fades now into the night, a shadow that shaped an age. Rest here, in this quiet, where the tales of blades and secrets drift away, leaving only the soft promise of sleep. The castle's glow fades, and we stand now by a gentle river, its waters catching the moon's pale light. The world of assassins, its blades, its secrets, its fleeting lives, stretches behind us, a journey through the dark heart of the Middle Ages. As we pause here, the rush of their deeds slows, giving way to a quieter task, to reflect on what their shadowed trade meant, what lessons it holds, and what value lies in a life so steeped in danger. This is not just their story, but a mirror held up to a turbulent age, and to us who listen from afar. The assassin's life was a paradox born from a world of chaos. In a time when kings fell, lords schemed, and faith clashed with steel, they were both outcasts and architects. Their daggers shifted thrones, their poisons cleared paths for merchants, their silence guarded fragile truces. Yet they were scorned, feared, their names cursed in taverns and churches. This tension reveals a truth about their age. Power demanded blood, and someone had to wield the blade. Assassins filled that need, their work a grim necessity in a society too fractured to resolve its fights with words. Their existence asks us to look at our own world, where conflicts linger, where hard choices shape who rises and who falls. What can we learn from their shadowed path? Their craft demanded discipline, every step planned, every risk weighed, every moment sharp with focus. A dagger's thrust or a rooftop leap took years of practice, a patience that speaks across centuries. They adapted, blending into markets or vanishing into forests, their lives a masterclass in resilience. These traits, focus, endurance, flexibility, hold value beyond their trade, lessons for navigating any uncertain world. But their lives teach darker truths too. Their solitude, their buried emotions, their sleepless nights show the cost of a life built on violence. They remind us that peace, connection, and trust are fragile gifts worth guarding more than any gold. The value of their profession is harder to pin down. In their time, assassins were tools of order, however brutal. A tyrant's fall could save a village from war. A rival's end could secure a trade route, feeding thousands. They were the unseen hands that kept a teetering world from collapse, their blades carving stability from chaos. Yet their work was a symptom, not a cure. Every kill fed a cycle of vengeance. Every job deepened the mistrust that birthed their trade. Their value lay in meeting a need, but their legacy warns us, a world that needs assassins is a world in pain, one that craves a better way to mend its wounds. Picture a moment by this river, where a figure stands, cloak catching the breeze. They've just finished a job, a noble's life ended, a purse of coin earned. They stare at the water, its ripples holding no answers. Around them the world moves on. A farmer drives his cart home. A child laughs in a distant village. A priest lights a candle for peace. The figure knows their work changed something, perhaps a war averted, perhaps a grudge settled, but they also know its weight. They're alone, their life a string of such nights, their purpose clear but fleeting. They toss a pebble into the river, watching it sink, and turn away, their shadow blending into the dark. Their story, like the ripple, fades, but its echo lingers. As we stand here, the assassin's world feels both distant and close, a tale of skill, sacrifice, and struggle. They were not heroes or villains, but people shaped by their time, their choices a reflection of a world that needed them, yet cast them aside. Their lessons of discipline, of resilience, of the cost of division stay with us, quiet but clear. Their value lies not in their blades, but in what they show us about power, need, and the hope for something better. The river flows on, its murmur soft, carrying these thoughts into the night. The assassin's shadow, once so vivid, now blends into the stars above. A story told, a journey complete. Rest here by these gentle waters, where the weight of their world lifts, leaving only the calm of sleep, a final gift from the shadows.